is suing her former friend, Christina Diamond, for scamming her on a deal to buy season tickets for the Minnesota Vikings.
Order. All rise.
Yes, case number 548 on the calendar, the matter of Schnetzer versus Diamond.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Schnetzer, how long have you and the defendant been friends?
We had known each other about a year.
Not true.
You meet, just a second. From where?
Well, I met her at work. So this
When?
was back in 2008.
No.
Ms. Diamond, don't interrupt her again. What month in 2008?
I believe it was March, April.
When did you and Ms. Schnitzer meet?
Actually, we met in 607, and me and Tammy worked together.
Where did you
At
meet?
Direct Buy.
Is that where you both worked?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
Were you working in Direct Buy in June of 07?
Yes.
Is that where you met her?
I thought it was 08. But
It was 07.
Your lawsuit alleges that the defendant sold you fake tickets. The defendant says it was your scam, not hers. So why don't you tell me, when did this discussion start about tickets?
July 7th, 2009.
Go ahead.
She called me up and said that
Don't look down, look at me.
she wanted to offer me her season tickets that she inherited from her father, who had recently passed away.
My dad's not dead.
No, if you speak again, I'm going to rule in her favor and I'm going to throw you out. You don't want that.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
She told me her father passed away.
Just a second. I want you to tell me what the exact conversation was. She called you on the phone and said what?
Said, I have seasons to the Minnesota Vikings, and she knew that I loved the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a huge fan, and offered them to me for $500, which was a really good deal for season tickets. And I asked her why, and she said when her father passed, she received a huge inheritance from her father and didn't need the money.
Go ahead.
We met 2 days later, July 9th. I wrote her a check for $500 for the tickets, and I received a receipt. She didn't have the tickets right then and there because they're season tickets, and you don't get those until usually the first week of August. You receive those. So we had agreed that I would pick them up at the will call booth at the Metrodome where the Vikings play after the first season opener, which was September 13th. So
don't look down, look at me.
On September 13th, I called the ticket office. They didn't have them. And so I followed up a week later, again calling there, and
no tickets.
No tickets. They were going to be
okay, so
in my
you
name.
still haven't gotten the tickets?
Still haven't gotten the tickets. So then,
okay, and when for the first time did you ask Miss Diamond for the tickets?
When I called her on the 21st of September. I called and left her a message on her cell phone just stating that the tickets weren't there, so give me a call and let me know what's going on. And later that night, I got a phone call at 7:30 p.m. from her boyfriend, Antoine, called me and said, I'm sorry to tell you, but Christina has passed away. And I'm in shock. I'm just shocked as can be. I mean, I was upset. And I asked when she passed away. He said 6 weeks ago. And I asked how. She said a diabetic attack. And I knew she had diabetes. So, I mean, who would do such a cruel thing? I mean, I believed him. So that was that. And of course, I had to figure out what was going on with these tickets. I had my brother and his friend coming from out of state that weekend to use 2 of the tickets. There was 4 total. So I asked Antoine if he could contact Don, her husband, and find out what's going on.
How much are 4 season tickets worth?
Depending on where you're sitting, these ones were very good seats.
How much were they worth?
Probably about $2,000.
More than that.
Shut.
Oh, sorry.
Now, if someone wanted to turn those kinds of tickets into, let's say, the stadium, how much do you think they could get for them?
Quite a bit.
Give me. You're the fan.
Depending on the game, if it's a Packer game, you could sell them for twice as much as face value. So if they were $130 seats,
I'm talking about the whole season.
A seat. If you sold them all, $3,500, $4,000.
So this was a real bargain she was offering you, a real bargain, because she could have sold them herself back to the stadium for $2,000, right?
Right.
It's really pretty nuts of her to sell them to you for $500.
That was a good friend of hers. I trusted her.
No, I didn't ask you whether you trusted her or you didn't even know when you met her. You didn't even know when you met her. It's a really, really good deal, because all she had to do was get in the car and drive 5 minutes, and she would have been able to get 4 times as much as she sold them to you for, right?
Right.
Because Miss Diamond has a whole different story, which I'm going to hear now. Now it's your turn.
Thanks, Judge Judy. Actually, like I said, we did meet on 7/9/2009 at Caribou Coffee, myself and Tom.
Who's Tom? Raise your hands.
We met with Tammy, sat down like we've been friends since '07, and we met at work. We kicked it off. She was.
What did you meet for on the 9th?
We met for the fact that she asked me that she needed some money for her rent, that she was on unemployment.
That's not true.
Listen, I do not want you to speak now. You know how I told her? She spoke out. I was going to rule in your favor.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you respond to her, I'm just going to dismiss your case. Now you got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Now you have to go back. You have to go back to why you were meeting, the conversation that you had with Ms. Schnitzer
That is correct.
caused you to meet.
The conversation is that Tammy had called and indicated that she
When did she call you?
She called on 7/6/09.
Tell me what she said.
She said, I need some money, as usual. I can't afford my rent, and I need some money from you. And she's borrowed already $1,800 from us in the past, me and my husband. And she indicated that we need to cook up a scam because her brother and his friends like Vikings tickets. So she had us meet her at Caribou Coffee, indicated...
No. What did you say to her?
I said to her, okay, I'll meet you there and discuss if you need some money. At that point, we didn't know what the Vikings tickets were in reference to, nor what was going to go down at the Caribou Coffee in Minneapolis.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tammy Schnitzer says her former friend Christina Diamond scammed her on a deal to buy season tickets for the Minnesota Vikings. Christina says it's Tammy who's running the scam.
Go ahead.
So on 7/9, I drove over there. Obviously, she's my friend. I've tried to help her out numerous times, and she indicated to me at that point, and Tom, that she needs some help with some money, so she wanted to create a scam. Had us write her a receipt. She'd write me $500 to tell her brother that she had bought Vikings tickets from me for the season so that her brother would give her the $30,500 difference. So basically, she was going to tell him that she paid $500 of it, and because her brother had money, she was going to scam him, show him the receipt of the canceled check and the receipt, and have him give her the $3,000 difference until she could pay him some money back because she was on unemployment. So that's what went down, and I said, okay, well, I tell you what, I'll help you out this time. It was my stupidity that I said I'd help her out, obviously. But again, we've given her money before.
But you told me in your answer, madam, that she also gave you $50 from the $500.
That is correct. Yes, she did, ma'am.
So
she
that
told
was
me
payment for your
services, per se.
services.
Yeah, we all went down. I called my husband from Caribou Coffee, which is here, Don, and he had met us downtown St. Paul in his courier van, and Tammy disclosed the plan to him and sent me into her bank and indicated that she'd give me $50 of the $500 so that she could make approximately $3,000 off her brother and his friends for the season.
Over here. Tell me what you know.
I received a call from Christina telling me that she wanted me to come down to the bank because she had to cash a check for Tammy. And then I went down there, and Tammy filled me in and said, I need to make some money, and I'm going to make it this way by selling the Viking tickets.
Mm-hmm. Sit. Who are you?
Tammy's brother,
I'd like to hear from you. Tell me your last name.
Mike Schnitzer.
Tell me what you know about your sister's financial difficulties.
First of all, if she needed any money, she would go to me.
No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, tell me what you know about your sister's financial difficulties.
I'm not aware of her having any difficulties financially.
Was she employed during the entire months of June, July, and August of 2009?
No.
How was she supported?
She had unemployment.
When was the last time your sister had a full-time job?
Beginning of last year, I believe.
What kind of job did she have last year?
She worked at Direct Buy Marketing.
How long did she have that job?
Probably 3 years. 4 years.
All right, Mr. Schnitzer, now tell me what you know about these tickets.
Tammy called me after she found out that she was going to get these tickets.
So your sister called you. Do you remember when she called you?
Middle of July.
July of
09.
And do you remember exactly what she said to you?
She said, I got a great deal on season tickets, and they're $500.
Did she say who she got the tickets from?
Yep,
Mr.
she
Schnitzer?
explained. She explained Christina, a former coworker and friend for about a year, and explained her family situation with her dad passing, and she had a lot of money, she didn't need it, and she was going to give the tickets to Tammy because she's a big fan, and she wanted to give it to somebody that would appreciate them.
And she was going to sell her the tickets.
That's right, for $500.
And you understand, Mr. Schnitzer, that Miss Diamond could have turned around and just gone to the stadium and sold the tickets for 4 times as much.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, that's correct.
Didn't that sound odd to you?
Yes.
Your statement that she was going to sell her the tickets for $500?
But I trusted my sister, trusting her.
No. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Schnitzer? Doesn't that sound odd to you that your sister would say, I have this great deal on tickets that are really worth $3,500. I can get them for $5,000. Would you have bought them from your sister for $2,000? Would you have bought them from your sister for $2,000, Mr. Schnitzer?
Maybe.
This $500 amount for 4 tickets, which were well-placed tickets, was an unusual treasure.
I believe.
Just a second. Were an unusual treasure for $500, and I do not believe, Mr. Schnitzer, that his sister said, I got this great buy for $500. That I don't believe, because it would have been a great buy at $2,000, and you would have bought them at $2,000. Maybe you did. I don't know whether you did or not, but I'm not sure I believe you, Ms. Schnitzer, that that's how it came down. Do you
I'm telling
understand?
the truth.
Okay. So does
She
Ms.
is
Diamond
lying.
say she's telling the truth?
She's lying.
Yeah. The case is dismissed. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They all scammed me to make money to pay their bills.
She scammed me out of $500
It's ridiculous what they were applying.
and a lot of emotional distress.
Oh, there was no friendship.
I'm a trusting person.
The brother just came out saying I should be in jail.
I trusted her. She said she was my friend.
For what? A civil $500 case? Okay.
And she lied to me. She lied to me.
But you lost.
She was lying every second out there.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fredera versus Gillespie, step forward, please.
Terry Fredera is suing her ex-boyfriend, Kenneth Gillespie, for bail money, attorney fees, and utility bills.
Ms. Fredera, you and the defendant have had an on-again, off-again relationship for many years. According to the complaint that I read, you had not spoken to or seen the defendant in about 18 months when you received a telephone call from him from jail.
That's correct.
The telephone call from jail said that he had been arrested for his 4th DUI and he needed some help from you. So you hired a lawyer, bailed him out of jail, and then invited him back to your house, where he stayed for about 6 weeks. Then he left. You want him to pay you back the money that you laid out for his bail, rent, for the fines from his DUIs. All of that encompassed several $1,000s. He says that he doesn't owe you a dime. I am totally disinterested in rent or his share of utilities for 6 weeks. How long have you lived in your house?
I've lived in my home since 1991.
So his living there did not cause you any greater expense. That was really a rhetorical question. The answer is no. And you hadn't heard from this bad boy in 18 months. And he wasn't calling you to tell you that he had an epiphany and he was in love with you and he wanted to get back together with you. We called you from jail. 4th DUI, where you had to go bail him out of jail. So I'm not thinking that there was a whole lot of conversation about rent. But I would like to find out from you, and from you, sir, about your incarceration. So why don't you tell me when you were picked up and for what?
Okay, I was arrested March the 10th, 2009. And like you said, I hadn't spoke to Terry for some 18 months or so.
I already said that, sir. You should have been paying attention rather than daydreaming. Listen! March 10th, you got picked up. For what?
DWI, 4th offense.
Were you already on probation for DUI?
No.
When was your last DUI prior to March 10th?
I think 2006.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm disabled.
What's the nature of your disability?
Back problems and internal problems.
How long have you been on disability?
But 2005.
Where did you work prior to 2005?
I had my own business.
When you say internal problems, you're talking about gastrointestinal problems?
Liver.
And how many DUIs have you had since 2005, since you went on disability for your bad liver?
2.
Well, I guess you don't learn.
Been sober for about a year now.
Great. If you've been sober for about a year, why aren't you working? It's not an answer. Okay. Calls you from jail. And
he asked me if I could help him get out of jail. He knew that I had a little money at the time, and I asked him, I said, well, you know, I haven't seen you or spoke to you in so long. How do I know you're going to pay me back? Because he owes me money for past, anyway. So he told me that.
He owes you money for what?
He owes, well, it's just the past 10 years. You know, at one time he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. But I asked him, my question was, how are you going to pay me back? Because
that's a good question. He doesn't work.
And he told me he had a paycheck coming to him that was due to him, that he was working.
Work. How could he have a paycheck? He's on disability.
He was working on some job, and he did have a paycheck due to him.
How do you know that? What job was he working on? You must have found out.
He told me he had been working.
Oh, did he tell you what he had been working at?
No, ma'am.
This all comes together.
Here's a copy of the check. I paid Mr. Ernie. This was an attorney. He had recommended, somebody in jail recommended that attorney. And on the back of that little business card has Ernie's signature, where I paid him $3,000. All
right, so now you're out $3,000 for the lawyer's fees. How much did he pay you back?
He's paid me a total of $1,747.19.
Where'd you get the money from?
I'd had that one paycheck, and
What paycheck?
I had done some electrical work the first part of 2009.
How much did you get?
That check, I believe, was a little less than $1,400.
Did you report it to the government?
Yes.
They take it off your disability?
No, I haven't that's the first money I've earned since I've been on disability.
This was in March of '09.
Right.
Well, how much have you earned since March of '09?
Nothing.
So this was just lucky that it was just around this time that you got that check.
Right.
Since 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Now, you paid her back, according to her, $1,747. What did you pay her the $1,747 for?
I was just trying to help her out.
You were. You're going to help her out a little more, to the tune of $1,253, because that finishes up your lawyer's fee. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,253. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Andrea Janer is suing her ex-fiancé, 25-year-old Brad Culverhouse, for breaking an apartment lease and for his share of the utility bills.
Order. All rise.
Yes, case number 550 on the calendar in the matter of Janer versus Culverhouse. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
How old are you, Miss Janer?
I'm 22.
Prior to moving in with the defendant, with whom you lived, according to you, for about 2 years, what were you doing?
I worked as a home health aide.
Until when?
Until March of '08.
And when did you become pregnant?
July of '08.
Why did you stop working?
They didn't pay gas mileage. I didn't have the money to go all the way into Worcester, which we lived in Creston, which was like 15 to 20 minutes away, but they were running me all over the town, and I didn't have the gas because I was the only one working and paying our rent and all of our bills.
So what kind of income did the family have? It had his income?
When he did work, it wasn't all the time.
Well, who paid the rent?
He did, or my mom.
So let me understand this. Nobody's working full time. You're taking money from your mother, and the solution to the problem is to have a child.
Yeah, well, we didn't plan it.
I'm not so sure about that.
I'm sure we didn't plan it.
You don't have to necessarily plan it. All you have to do is be irresponsible.
Well, we didn't plan it, and we were using protection. I was on birth control, and then I didn't have any. Like, I didn't have insurance. I couldn't get birth control, so it wasn't just me, though. It should have been him, too.
But only one of you has the baby.
But there's 2 of us.
No, but only one of you has the baby. And
yeah.
who are you living with now?
My mother.
Now 3 of you have a baby.
No, actually 2 of us have a baby because he doesn't take care of her.
No.
Yes.
No. 3 of you have a baby, but only one person is responsible for her, and that's her.
No, I take care of her.
Mm-hmm. Who works?
My mom does, but my mom works, but I still do what I have to do to take care of my kid. At least I'm there taking care of her every single day, unlike him.
So that's what I'm saying. Only one person is supporting her. That's her. Unless you get aid. Do you get aid?
Yes, I do.
Then I'm supporting her. Me and your mother.
I work for what I have to work for the money and stuff I get.
I get it. I understand workfare. This is your problem. You're suing him for broken promises.
I'm suing him for stuff that I got stuck with.
Right.
Because we lived together and he left me with absolutely nothing, and his daughter too. So I shouldn't have to be stuck with all the utilities and all the rent because he left with no notice.
Whose name is on the lease?
It's both of ours.
Let me see it. On what date did he leave?
January 22nd.
And on what date did you leave?
January 30th.
So you have rent due and owing the landlord February, March, and April.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Who's supposed to pay, let's say, half the rent for February, March, and April?
Well, I paid up for 9 months because she didn't have a job. I paid
That's okay.
a deposit.
You were living together.
Okay,
you
but
were living
I left.
together and weren't protecting yourself appropriately. Now, who's supposed to pay?
I think she should pay the rest of it because I paid for 9 months of it. I mean,
No, you can't just leave. Your name is on the lease.
why can't I leave if it's on?
You can't just leave irresponsibly. Don't speak until you see my mouth close. Because you have a contract, sir. Your contract is with the landlord. You can leave. It's a free country. That doesn't relieve you of your part of the contract. So you have to pay your half of the rent for February, March, and April directly to the landlord, not to her, unless you paid the landlord. Did you?
I was going.
Is not an answer. Did
I'm
you
going,
pay the
no,
landlord?
I did not yet.
Good. His half of the rent will go directly to the landlord.
Now, is that including the deposit that I'm the one that paid for, that I'll be losing out on without a refund?
You paid, just a second. You paid the deposit?
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that when you moved out of the apartment, madam, you left it in good condition?
Yes.
Fine. So the landlord has to apply that deposit the last month. So you're not going to give it back to him. So it's $750 divided by 2 equals $375. That's what you have to send to the landlord, and you lose your deposit. Got it?
Yeah.
Now, what else do you think he owes you for?
Half the utilities that were due. When he left, there were 3 disconnect notices, and that was like the disconnect plus then I got the new bill. I was on a program called PIP, which was to help us with like low-income families help pay the utilities. And when I got them shut off, the accumulated balance is what my bill is. My electric was $856 after the accumulated PIP balance and everything.
So who does that check get made payable to?
AEP.
AEP. And in whose name are the utilities?
Mine.
Can I see it, please? Utilities. AEP, you have to send them a check for $428.
Why should I send them a check when it's not in my name and I'm the one that paid it up to
I don't care.
That don't
That's
make sense,
what was.
though.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You don't use that much electricity in a month. That was an accumulated bill. I don't care in whose name the bill was. You lived there.
But I'm the one that paid it all the time.
You didn't pay it because there was a
Up until that
balance.
point, yes, I paid it.
Up until what point?
Until the cutoff notice, or we was 2 months behind on it. But
You
I'm the
owe her
only one
400
working and
no,
everything else.
You don't owe her anything. You owe AEP half the bill, $428. What else?
The gas was $234.
What else?
The cable was $92.63.
What else?
On January 30th, when I was packing my stuff up to move to my mother's, he came to the house to get his stuff and agreed to give me half of his income tax return because as of right now, we cannot get child support papers started because he doesn't have an address. So they won't serve him with papers until he has an address.
He's here. Serve him.
They told me they cannot do it unless
Let me
he
explain
has
something
an
to you.
address.
Let me explain something to you. You knew enough how to get him served to get him here.
But the small claims court was different than child support. Child support cannot serve papers to him at court unless he has an address to keep getting paperwork from them, and he does not have one.
I can't help you.
But I should get some of his. He claimed our daughter that he doesn't take care of. He has, in a month and a half,
I can't help you.
In a month and a half, he has not given us any money for diapers or anything. That's his child, too.
Absolutely right.
I feel I should get some of his income tax return that he got because I was the one taking care of our daughter, not him. He claimed our daughter, got money for her, and still has not seen her.
Courts are not designed to take care of your kind of problem. Courts are designed to take care of contracts like these. contracts, not broken promises, not sadness. And I worked in family court for 25 years, so I'm going to do this for you to help you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Andrea Janer says her ex-fiancé, Brad Culverhouse, owes for breaking their apartment lease and for half of their utility bills.
Who are you?
My name is Keela. I'm his
Get over
girlfriend.
here. Keela what?
Keela Buck.
How old are you?
28.
Where do you live?
In Apple Creek, Ohio.
Address?
18th Apple Creek.
Is the lease in your name?
No, I live with my parents, ma'am.
Where does he live?
He's been staying with me while he's looking for another place.
Right. Hey, you think that they keep me here because of this face? They don't. They don't. And how long has he been staying with you while he's looking for a place with your parents?
3 weeks, ma'am.
Prior to that, where did he live?
He stayed with mutual friends.
Why did he move in with you?
Because he had nowhere else to go.
What do you mean he had nowhere else to go?
Well, I mean, he didn't have nowhere to go.
Well, I know a lot of people who may not have a place to go. I don't invite him to live with me. Why did you invite him to live with you?
I didn't really invite him. It just kind of happened.
What do you mean it kind of happened? Explain that to me.
He's just been staying with me. I was helping him out. My parents and I were helping him out.
Your parents knew him before you did?
No.
Where did you meet him?
I met him at a bar.
Great. You exercise terrific judgment. Now, you have a house or an apartment?
A house.
How many bedrooms in the house?
3.
Where does he sleep?
With me.
That's where you serve him.
Okay.
Got it? Perfect.
But you got
judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $966. Out.
Whatever.
Parties are excused.
He cheated on me with the girl that was in court with him, actually.
We just wasn't getting along. It was just always argument and fights.
Just didn't come home, didn't call, didn't nothing, abandoned me and my child.
Just was tired of all the drama and just didn't come home.
I hope he can stay out of my life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Williams versus Fearman, step forward, please.
Chastity Williams is suing her former dog trainer, Ronald Fearman, for a refund of his fee. Chastity claims that Ronald never managed to get her dog trained.
Miss Williams, you hired the defendant to do some dog training for you. You paid him, according to you, $450 for 6 sessions. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
How many sessions did you give Miss Williams?
After the initial evaluation, 3.
And after the 3 sessions, she terminated your services?
Yes.
And you want your $450 back?
Yes, ma'am.
And he did come 3 times?
Yes, he did.
Well, then you don't get $450 back.
Why not?
Your problem was your dog didn't get trained.
Exactly.
Well, that happens. That doesn't mean you get all your money back. Unless he gave you a written guarantee.
He did.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so let me read you what this says, because you have a whole contract here. It says that there are no cash refunds. Any refunds will be handled as future training sessions. Training is guaranteed for the life of your dog, and if necessary, your dog will be retrained at no cost to you. However, if it is required that the dog stay at the behavior modification school, you'll be required to pay boarding at the rate of $20 a day. You understand what all this says?
I understand.
Okay, so why do you think that this contract doesn't apply to you?
Because he voided it. He didn't come when he said he was going to come. The dog wasn't trained even after 3 sessions. And if I wanted to send my dog to a boot camp to be trained, that's what I would have did in the first place. I'd hired him for in-home training to come train my dog at my house because it was more convenient to me that way, and that's what I expected him to do. He guaranteed that my dog would be trained.
No, he didn't. It says that training is guaranteed if you follow through with the program, and they guarantee that they will retrain your dog if your dog is not trained. And if the retraining requires a stay at their school, they will do it for free. But all you have to pay for is the boarding at $20 a day. That's what your contract says.
Okay, but in order to train a dog, you have to come. I mean, how you going to train him if you're not there?
You just told me that he came 3 times.
He came 3. He didn't come 6 times like he promised.
Just a second. Who told him not to come back?
Himself. Every time he had an appointment to come, it was an excuse why he couldn't come.
Just a second. He came 3 times?
Yes.
Did he say to you, I'm not coming back anymore?
No, he didn't call me.
Did you call him?
I emailed him and I told him to call me because I was having concerns about the way the training sessions was going and how inconsistent he was.
And
he never called me. He emailed me back.
What did he say?
This long email about how...
I'd like to see it.
I couldn't print them off because...
I just want to see the long email he sent to you, after which you claimed that you had no contact with him.
Okay. If she just keeps scrolling down, that's the one he sent.
Okay. So he goes into a lengthy explanation, and he says, please contact him. After this email, did you contact him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And where is your response to him?
If you... I can...
Let her show me. I don't do those things. Show me your response to his lengthy email.
Okay.
Why don't you read it to me?
I emailed him back and I said, no, our initial was the 13th of October and a Friday, and you canceled that Friday and came on Sunday. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I expect to see some results by now. He emailed me back. He said, I appreciate your understanding and patience. What afternoon is good for you? Friday at 4 is perfect for me, but I want you there.
Okay, go ahead.
I emailed him back and I said, Friday at 4 is fine. I would like to schedule the 2 remaining visits also. As my grandmother is getting fed up with the dog, she's saying the dog is going to have to go. And then he never responded back. Friday at 4, I take off work early to be there for the dog sessions. He never shows.
And that was the last communication that you had with him by email?
No.
No.
Oh, well, then let me see the rest of the emails.
Can I speak what I did after that?
No. I emailed him back, and I said, Ron, what happened to you coming today at 4? It's 5 o'clock, and you're still not here. I haven't heard anything from you today, and our last communication was on Wednesday when I emailed you back saying today at 4 would be great. I left work early for this lesson, and for what? Nothing.
And he said?
He emailed me back, and he says, I was waiting for a reply that you could be here. We can do it Monday at 4, or at this point, I'm willing to keep Tonka here for 5 days for free, as long as you can come here for the first lesson afterwards, and I will still do 1 or 2 more lessons at your home. Just let me know.
So he offered to give you 5 lessons at the boot camp?
Yes.
For free?
A stay of 5 days.
A stay of 5 days. Why didn't you do that?
Because by this point, I didn't trust him. And I mean, his boot camp is literally an hour away from my house. It's inconvenient for me to travel there to get my dog trained.
Where's the dog now?
I had to give the dog away.
When?
I had to give him away February 18th through the 22nd. I went to Miami, Florida, and then to the Bahamas for a cruise. While I was on my way to the Bahamas, my grandmother called me and told me that the dog was running around loose and that the police, which my son, came to the house and said, if you do not keep this dog in the house, we're going to charge you $1,000. I said, at this point, I don't have $1,000 to get somebody for a fine. I don't have any more money to hire somebody to come train them, so I took him to the SPCA. So now I don't have a dog, and I'm out my money for trainings for something he said he could do, and then he didn't do it.
You have to read what the contract says.
I read it.
What he says in this contract is, I guarantee that if you do what I tell you to do, which includes retraining your dog or training your dog at a boot camp if necessary, and I'll do that for free if it doesn't take, but you have to be involved by following what it says here. Then you have a guarantee.
But if you don't do all 6 lessons, how do you expect me to know if the dog trained or not to even say he needs to go to boot camp?
Listen to me.
I'm listening.
You're going to get back half of what you paid him because he only came 3 times.
Okay.
And the last time he was supposed to come, he didn't show up. And I have a feeling that he's very, very busy and that there were other times that he didn't show up. I read some of the emails, sir. You got a turkey baster in your knee, your mother had a stroke, the henny penny, the sky was falling, and there was an earthquake in Southern California. I read all your emails. No excuse. Not an excuse. But you were there 3 times.
Well,
You're entitled to get paid for the 3 visits you made to her house.
I explained to her from the very beginning, I run a dog boot camp, the most original one in the United States.
This is your contract.
Well,
I don't care what you explain to her. Your contract with her falls within the 4 corners of this document. It says you're going to provide her with 6 visits, and you didn't show up at all
she didn't show
for the
for
4th
any.
one.
She didn't show for any.
She doesn't have to. The
yes,
dog's
she did.
there. No.
I required her to show.
Just a second. Show me here.
Well,
show me here. Show me here.
No.
Just, you're not paying attention.
You're right.
Show me here.
You're right.
This is your contract. If you want to use a verbal contract, don't sign it.
Okay.
This is your contract.
Okay.
It works for you and against you. You can't Tell me, anything beyond this, I required her to be there, then it would say, I require you to be there. It doesn't say it, it doesn't exist.
Lesson learned.
And you didn't show up.
Lesson learned.
You owe her $225.
Could I explain anything?
No, you owe $225. Goodbye, explained enough.
Thank you.
Parties are excused.
Is suing her ex-husband's girlfriend, Mary Palmucci, for the return of money paid for a '97 Chevy Cavalier. Pamela claims Mary illegally titled the vehicle in her name.
Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Marr versus Palmucci.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Marr, Miss Palmucci is the girlfriend of your ex-husband.
Yes.
Ex-husband?
Yep. Yes.
Better. According to your complaint, you and your ex-husband got together and decided to purchase a used car for your daughter.
Yes, Ashley.
And each of you was going to contribute $400 to the car.
Yes.
According to you, you gave your husband $400 to buy this car. The car somehow was registered in the name of Miss Palmucci.
Yes.
Your daughter drove the car for a period of time, and then, for whatever reason, Miss Palmucci took the car back.
Yes.
You want your $400 back.
Correct.
Miss Palmucci said it was always her car. Step up, sir. What's your last name?
Marr?
How long have you and your former wife been divorced?
About 4 or 5 years now.
And how long have you and Miss Palmucci been together?
About 7 years.
So I assume you and your wife were separated for a long time before you divorced.
Yes.
How old was your daughter when you left the house?
Like 13, 12, 13, like that.
How old?
10.
10?
They're not always good with dates. Whose idea was it to get this used car for your daughter?
It was my idea.
Where did you find the car?
My niece had it. She was selling the car.
Did your wife, former wife, give you $400 towards the car? Look at me.
It was my understanding that check that she gave me was for the work I did for her at her house a week prior to that. And I gave $200.
How much was the car?
The car altogether was $700.
Did you have a conversation with your former wife with regard to her contributing to the car?
The only conversation that we had was with my daughter and myself and Mary about the car. There was no verbal conversation about the car between me and my ex-wife.
Did you have a conversation with your father about the car?
Yes.
Step up. Tell me your first name.
Ashley.
Ashley, tell me about when you had this conversation with your father about the car.
Well, I was at work and he called and asked me if I wanted to discuss with my mother about getting the car from my cousin.
Well, what specifically did he say?
He said, do you think your mother would go half in buying a car for you? I said, yeah, she would. So I went home and talked to my mother about it, and she said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Did your father tell you how much the car was?
Yes.
How much did he say it was?
$700.
And did you tell your mother how much it was?
Yes.
Who did you give the money to?
My ex-husband.
When?
I gave it to him on July 28th.
Did you give it to him in check or cash?
Check.
How much did you give him?
$400.
Why did you give him $400?
Because I was told that the car was $800, and later on, after I had paid it, my daughter had said it was only $700.
Did you originally tell your mother it was $800?
I think I might have.
What date did you get the car?
July 31st.
July 30th.
And when was the car taken back from you?
It's August 21st.
Mr. Marr, you did have a discussion with your daughter about her mother going half for the car, unless you're calling your daughter a liar. Are you calling your daughter a liar?
Me and Ashley discussed it. We didn't discuss anything with my ex-wife.
Are you telling me that you didn't say to your daughter you think your mom would go half with me on a used car for you?
No, it didn't take place, that conversation.
Really?
Yep.
Tell me the work that you did for your ex-wife that you thought she was paying you for.
I put a liner in the pool and a skimmer also.
Did you arrive at a price with her?
No, it wasn't. We didn't compromise the price.
Well, how much did you spend for the liner?
I didn't spend for anything. She bought the liner and I put it in. I installed it and the skimmer.
How long did it take you?
Half a day, about 4 or 5 hours.
So what you're telling me, Mr. Marr, is you want me to believe, sir, that you thought that this $400 was your labor in putting in the half a day?
Yeah, that I paid my brother-in-law with the other $200. Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though you had not come up with an amount with your wife for what the job was going to be?
No, since she doesn't make that much money, I was just happy with whatever she gave me, that's all.
Mr. Marr, you're full of baloney, sir. Absolutely, positively, 100% full of baloney. If something doesn't make sense in this world, Mr. Marr, it's not true. If something makes sense, it's usually true. What makes sense is you having a discussion with your daughter and saying you think your mom would go half with me on a car for you, and giving her an inflated amount of $800 because that would have covered the tags and the registration, whatever it was to get it on the road. And she going to her mother and saying, would you do that? And her mother said, sure. And her mother hands you a check for $400. You don't even ask what it's for. You ask, don't know. It's for the swimming pool. It's for the liner. It's for the work. It's for the, I don't know what this is for. Thank you very much for the check. Then you register the car in your girlfriend's name. What happens to her $400 when you take back the car?
I didn't register the car.
She registered the car.
Right, because I wrote out the check for the $700, which I have, and I paid for everything else, including the insurance.
Then you got it, Miss Palmucci. He scammed you out of $400.
Who scammed me out of $400?
He did.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Because he got paid $400. So if you wrote out the entire check of $700 plus putting tags and registration on the car, then your boyfriend scammed you out of $400 because he got half of it from his ex-wife, which was supposed to pay
either
for
way,
the car.
the money comes out of a joint checking account, which him and I have, so he didn't scam me out of anything, so that's also where the check is deposited.
Yeah.
Into the account that we both have.
Let me see everything, please. I want to see all the paperwork, please. Going to resolve this right away.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
These two people decided to buy her a car. He's afraid to tell you that.
The conversation between him...
Try not to speak over me. You will not be successful.
And later today...
Things need to be paid. She offers to pay for those things. I wasn't going to say no.
Why not?
Somebody offers me money. Who am I to say no?
A creep.
Pamela Marr claims her ex-husband's girlfriend, Mary Palmucci, illegally titled a Chevy Cavalier in her name. Pamela says the car was supposed to be a gift to her daughter, Ashley.
Why is the certificate of title all mangled?
Because she attempted to take it from my house and tore it in doing that.
Where's the car now?
In my driveway.
Who drives it?
Nobody right now.
Why not?
It's not registered and insured.
Does it still drive?
Yeah, it still
there's
drives.
nothing wrong with it.
Oh, good. You want to give him $350 for this car?
Sure.
Yes. Good, because that's all they paid for. They said they paid $700.
In addition to the insurance, the registration, the title, the amount that I had to have it towed in order to get the vehicle back.
Shouldn't have done that. Because
well,
you didn't get
the only
whole
other
story.
choice that I was given by the police department was that I should file a
complaint. You didn't get the whole
theft.
story, madam. The whole story was these two people have a child together. They decided to buy her a car. He's afraid to tell you that.
The conversation between him...
Try not to speak over me. You will not be successful. You got yourself in the middle of it, and you shouldn't have. But she's going to give you $350. You get the other $400 from him, because that's what she paid him for the car, and you're going to sign over the title to her right now.
I can't sign the title until after the other case goes to court.
What other case?
There's another case that's going to court on the 14th of November.
For what?
Her claim against him for assault.
Her claim against him for assault?
Here's the paperwork. You want to see that
can
too?
I see it, please? This has nothing to do with the title to the car.
It does. It's in there. It says that she went there and that she attempted to get the title to the car.
I gotcha. I gotcha. We'll give you a copy of this tape. You take it, you show it, and you indicate to the judge who hears that case, if a judge is going to hear that case, that you were directed to, and you have agreed and acknowledged to follow my direction. You're going to sign this over to her, and she's going to give you $350. Bird, have her sign it right now. You created a whole lot of trouble, Mr. Marr, by not being honest with the women in your life. Sign it.
Tell her sign here.
You have now purchased the car yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
She gets $350. Now she's whole because she's going to take his $400 because they have a joint bank account. You got it?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's ruined a good relationship he had with his 3 daughters. He has no relationship with them now. It's just really, really sad that he would do this to his own daughters.
She'd rather go the avenue of making up lies and causing a problem between people. That's the results that she gets.
It's his fault. He ruined everything with me and my sisters, and there's going to be nothing more.
They want to continue to cause friction. That's their loss.
There's going to be no friction.
He's been causing friction for years.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Price versus Emerson. Step forward.
Peggy Price is suing her ex-boyfriend, Corey Emerson, for loans to pay rent, fix his bike, and travel to his brother's wedding. Corey says the money she gave him was never a loan.
Ms. Price, Mr. Emerson was your boyfriend for a brief period of time, and according to your complaint, you made a series of loans to him. You want your money back because he broke off the relationship. He says that he did break off the relationship. Any money that you gave him during the relationship were gifts because you cared for him. He needed the money. That's what people do who care for each other. They help each other out. And the only time it became a loan was when he broke up with you. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you, Mr. Emerson?
30 years old.
Ever been married?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Just once.
When and for how long?
I was married when I was 20 for 9 years.
You have children?
2.
How old are your children?
9 and 10.
Do you see them?
Almost every day.
So you're a good father.
I try to be, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Emerson?
I work for the railroad.
And how long have you worked for the railroad?
6.5 years.
Pay child support?
Yes, ma'am.
What about you, Miss Price? How old are you?
32.
Ever been married?
Yes.
When and for how long?
2000 until 2005.
Have any children?
2.
How old are they?
5 and 13.
Do you work?
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm self-employed hairstylist.
Children see their father?
Yes.
Do you pay child support?
He's disabled, so they get Social Security.
And your former wife, sir, what does she do?
She has an in-home daycare.
So it would be a fair statement, Mr. Emerson, to say that both of these families are sort of struggling to make ends meet financially. That be a fair statement?
I wouldn't say that I'm struggling, nor would I say she's struggling at all.
Really?
That's correct.
You think there's plenty of money to go around?
I do.
Then why would you take money from her, Mr. Emerson?
I didn't take any money.
No, listen to me, sir.
Oh.
You did take money from her. Whether it's a gift or a loan, you did take money from her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, if these two families are in pretty much similar circumstance, why would you take money from her?
Things come up, things need to be paid. She offers to pay for those things. I wasn't going to say no.
Why not? Is my question. Why not? Would not a person with a certain moral compass say, listen, you're a working gal, you got 2 little children. I'm a working guy, I got 2 little children.
Somebody offers me money, who am I to say no?
A creep. That's who you are. Because whether I determine this was a gift or a loan, you're a creep. You're not talking about somebody who's got plenty of extra cash and says to somebody that she cares about, listen, I got a lot of extra cash. You need something, I'll help you with it. You were pretty well aware of the fact, if you were dating for a while, that she's a hard-working gal who comes home from work, takes care of her kids, does the cooking, whatever, does everything that has to be done. And you, on the other hand, who see your children every day, which is really very nice, probably have much less responsibility with regard to doing their laundry, with regard to taking them to their appointments, with regard to doing the general stuff, what I call the grunt work, because your children do live with their mother, don't they?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we're going to decide whether you are a creep that took the money because it was a loan or a creep that took the money because it was a gift. Either way, I don't approve of your behavior. Now, when did you start dating Mr. Emerson?
The second week of May, 2006.
Tell me when and under what circumstances he asked you for the first amount of money.
He wrecked his bike, the fork broke. He said that he didn't have the money to pay for it. Sent me a text message, can you do me a huge favor? That's how all of them start.
Could you do me a huge favor?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What did it say?
I need money to pay for the fork for my bike.
Okay.
So I said under the condition that he make payments, whatever, eventually it's got to be paid back.
When did you tell him eventually he has to be paid back?
I didn't set a date. I just said, whenever you can pay me back.
Okay, so and how much was that for?
This check was for $409.81.
Okay, next.
Then he was having problems. He didn't have enough money to pay his rent. So
how did you find out about that?
He sent me a text message again asking him to help him pay his rent. And I said, how much is it? And he said it was $640 with late fees. I said, how much do you have? He said he had like $400 in the bank. And I said, I can help you out, but once again, it's, we're adding this on. So I wrote a check for $640, but he gave me $403 of it.
Go ahead.
Then he had to get home. His brother's wedding was like a month before.
He had to go to a wedding?
To Montana. And, we talked about it, and I'm like, I can help you out. If you want me to, whatever, I can help you out.
I don't want whatever. You're in court now, Miss Price. You have to be specific about what you said to him and what he said to you, and I want you to trust me on this. I know what you're making up, and I know what you're not making up.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
So a month later, he had a wedding?
Yes.
Where were you when he asked you for the money for the trip?
We were at a bar.
And what did he say to you?
He just said that he didn't have the money to get there. Could I help him out?
And what did you say?
I said, I can do what I can, you know, but...
And how much was that?
The plane ticket was $346.60, and the Greyhound bus that I put him on, because I waited till the last minute to get the plane ticket, and it was going to be $900. So I wasn't going to do that. I didn't have the money to do that, and he knew that. So I sent him on a Greyhound, and that was $159.
Okay, and that's it?
Yes.
And what date was that?
He left on the 1st of August and returned on the 8th.
And when did you and Mr. Emerson stop seeing each other?
He came in on the 11th, which was a Friday, at about noon.
To your salon?
My work, yes. I proceeded to give him and his son a haircut at no charge, thinking everything was okay, because we'd had no problems up till then. And I got a text message 6 hours later from him saying that we needed a break, and, you know, this wasn't working, it was moving too fast, and so we went back and forth through text messages, and I said, you know, I have the right to know why you're feeling this way. I've done everything in the relationship I've given.
And he said?
He said, since you're giving me an ultimatum, it's over.
Okay, now, Mr. Emerson, it's your turn. June. June!
June, the mountain bike. I wrecked my mountain bike. It was going to cost about $400 to fix it. I had talked with Peggy about the price, and she offered to pay for it.
What would you talk to her about the price for?
Well, we're in a relationship. We talked about, you know, I talked about wrecking my mountain bike and, you know, what it was going to be to fix it. And
why would you tell her that? Why don't you tell your ex-wife that?
Actually, I did tell my ex-wife that.
Did she give you any money?
No.
You have living parents?
Yes.
Yeah, well, your mother loves you for a longer time than the plaintiff did. Why don't you call your mother and say, I broke my spoke?
I didn't need to. The plaintiff had already offered to pay for it.
She wouldn't need to have offered to have paid for it, Mr. Emerson, if you didn't have a problem. And you wouldn't have had a problem if you called your mother or your father or your brother or your sister and said, could you loan me some money? Then you wouldn't have even had to mention it to her.
It wasn't a loan. She just offered to pay for it, ma'am.
Well, what about Mr. Emerson? You need not do that. I only know you 8 weeks. And I wouldn't think of taking any money from you because I have a mother who gave birth to me. I have an ex-wife who I support along with my 2 children. I have a brother, sister, father, you know, who I've known a long time. I wouldn't think of taking money from you. How about that?
Didn't even cross my mind.
Nah, that's because you're a creep. Mr. Emerson, you want to tell me what cathartic event happened between the 1st of August when you went home to your brother's wedding and the 11th of August when you had your hair cut and your son's hair cut for free at Miss Price's salon that caused you to send her a text message that said, we need a break?
It had been leading up to that.
I want you to tell me the cathartic event between August 1st, when you left on a plane ticket that she purchased for you, and when you came back on a Greyhound bus ticket that she had purchased for you that caused you to say, we need a break.
Okay, it was
Follow my train of thought, sir.
It was big deal was the plane ticket. She tells you she's going to do something, and she'll play along with the story. I'm going to do this. I've got it taken care of. Don't worry. I'll do it.
Just a second. Just a second. Let's get rid of the gobbledygook, sir. What you're complaining about is
the fact that she does not follow through.
Listen, what you're saying is she sent you home by bus instead of plane. Is that what you're telling me?
That was one of the problems, yes.
Oh, very good. Major creep. Major creep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,154. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
22-year-old Keisha Saunders is suing her former co-worker, 23-year-old Michelle Clore, for having her falsely arrested for vandalizing her car.
All rise.
Guys, case number 506 on the calendar in the matter of Saunders versus Clore.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Ms. Saunders, it's your claim that the defendant had you falsely arrested for vandalizing her car and you want damages.
Yes.
How do you know each other?
We used to work together at a telemarketing place in Redondo
When
Beach.
did you work together?
It was 2009 from July till September.
Who worked there first?
The defendant.
When you went to work there, did you have any difficulty with her?
Yes. Actually, my second day of working, she had just came back from vacation, and she had started arguments and problems since that day.
Well, describe it to me.
She was sitting across from where I was sitting, and she would sit there and look at me like trying to interrogate me or something, like giving me like an evil look, kind of. And then also She would go around. There was a big incident that started at work. I was warming up food for lunch. Something accidentally overspilled, and she took it all out of proportion.
Well,
she made
explain to me how she took it all out of proportion. You were heating something up, it spilled over, and?
Yeah, so she made a big scene. She was like, you need to come in here and clean this up. This is not how we do things around here. Made a whole big ordeal. I was like, I didn't know.
What happened? You didn't clean up the mess that was made?
I didn't know it was a mess made. I just took it out. We only had 15 minutes for lunch, so I just took it out and we just went to go eat. I didn't even double check. I said, it's no problem. I'm grown. I clean up after myself. So I went to go clean it up, and then she was still talking and nagging. I just let it go. People at work who had been working there before me told me the kind of person she was.
You can't tell me what anybody told you.
Okay.
Now tell me when you were arrested.
It was September the 9th, 2009.
Had you ever been arrested before?
No, never.
You were arrested at work?
Yes.
And you were arrested for vandalism. How long did you stay in jail?
For 4 days and 3 nights.
What was your bail?
It was originally $50,000, and the judge dropped it to $10,000.
And what was the charge?
It was a felony count of vandalism.
And you had never been arrested before?
I've never been in any kind of problems with the law before.
Okay. Are you still working at the same place?
No, ma'am.
Are you?
No.
When did you leave?
When I went to jail, she had a restraining order put against me while I was in jail, so I couldn't return to work. I got fired because going to jail.
So around the beginning of September?
Yes.
And when did you leave, Miss Clore?
November.
Where did you go?
I just quit completely because I had moved at the time and I didn't want her to follow me home again.
Okay. Tell me when your car was vandalized.
It was on August 8th. I woke up and getting ready to go to work. I was running late that morning and I noticed that my car had been vandalized.
How?
It was scratched just from one side of the car, on the back of the trunk, and all up the passenger side as well.
Mm-hmm.
My first reaction, I didn't know what to do, but then luckily I found the note that was put on my windshield wiper. It was a Post-it note from a woman named Mary Smith.
Mary Smith?
Yes.
And where did Mary Smith live?
As far as I know, she lived out of town up north. It says here that she was in Atascadero, California, but she was visiting some family in the area.
What's the name of the family?
I don't know.
I'd like to see the police report since you didn't witness anything that happened.
I also have photos.
Who picked up Miss Smith to go down to the police station?
I did.
Where did you pick her up from, Miss
Where
Clore?
my car was parked when she witnessed the event.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how that all came about.
I called her on the phone.
You called her at the number that you say was on this note
Yes.
that she left you.
Yes, ma'am.
And you called her and she lived out of the area.
She was in town visiting some friends, or her family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that must have been in your neighborhood.
Yes, I'm guessing.
You're guessing. Where was your car vandalized?
I was parked on around the corner from my house on.
So close to your house.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to continue.
No, I want to ask my own questions.
No problem.
So instead of picking her up, because after all, she was being a good Samaritan, this woman, you agreed to meet at the place where your car had been vandalized.
Yes, ma'am.
So that she could accompany you to the police station.
Yes, ma'am.
And she accompanied you to the police station, this woman who you never met before, this really good Samaritan, whose sister's name, who she was visiting, and with whom she was in the car, it says name unknown. And you certainly don't know where she was staying because of this convenient, I'll meet you by my car. You get where I'm going?
Not really, Your Honor.
We're going to get there soon. And then Smith said she saw somebody who matches the description of the plaintiff keying your car. And she took down the license plate number. And then Smith said she left a note on your car. And when the officer ran the license plate number, it turned out to be her car. Okay. Now, you got a restraining order. She spent a couple of days in jail. It's my understanding that you didn't appear at any of the 3 hearings that was set in this case. Is that right?
No, I did appear at one. I was subpoenaed to court.
You were subpoenaed?
Yes.
Well, before you were subpoenaed to court by the district attorney, did not the district attorney, ask you to appear at hearings?
Yes.
And did you appear at those hearings?
I appeared at one that I was subpoenaed to.
That's not my question. How many hearings were you asked to appear at?
Just the one.
Just one. Did Mary Smith appear at the hearing?
No.
Did you call her?
No.
Why not?
Because the detective advised me not to be in contact with her.
Why not? Here's somebody who was so interested. She, according to what I've read, left you a note, met you, went down to the police precinct with you, told them the story about what she allegedly saw, gave an email address to the detective at some point when he asked for it so that he could do a photo lineup from her driver's license, which at this point they had because she had been identified through her driver's license. She did all of those things, but she never appeared at the trial. And you never called her.
No, ma'am.
Well, I think I'm going to try to call her.
She said that she moved out of the country. I don't
Mary Smith doesn't move out of the country. A 59-year-old Mary Smith doesn't move out of the country.
I don't know, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Keisha Saunders says former co-worker Michelle Clore had her falsely arrested for vandalizing her car. She is suing for $5,000.
Hello, this is Judge Judith Sheindlin. Who am I speaking to? Linda Watt. Can you tell me, please, how you know Michelle Clore? You don't. Can you tell me in what town you live? You live in Wyoming. Do you know somebody by the name of Mary Smith? She had your cell phone number as of a few months ago. Well, how long have you had this phone number? Person who answered that cell phone number that was given here, his name's not Mary Smith. Shouldn't want to tell me how long she had this phone number because it's only a few months old. She says she lives in Wyoming. So it's odd that the person whose cell phone number is on this police report, not out of the country, lives in Wyoming, and hung up on me when I asked how long you had the phone number. All that's very odd, Miss Clore.
I agree.
Very odd. When things are odd, I find that suspect. Very suspect. Now, you told the police that in the past she had threatened you at work. Tell me about that.
She had mentioned that...
No, don't look over there. Look over here.
Sorry. She had mentioned that before that she was going to fight me after work, that she carries a box.
Tell me what she said. Did she say, I'm going to fight you after work? Nobody says that.
No.
It doesn't sound normal.
She was speaking to another co-worker, and she said, F that white B, and...
Just a minute. And you heard this?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what was that about?
I'm not sure.
It had to happen over something. She may have said it, but it had to happen over something.
As far as I know, it all started when I asked her to clean her mess out of the microwave. That wasn't just the first time that it happened. It continued to happen.
But she was a slob. She was a slob.
She
I mean, if it's
clean
what
up
you're
after
saying is
herself,
true,
yes.
She was a slob.
Yes, ma'am.
And anybody who opens up a microwave and takes out their stuff could see whether or not they've spilled it and it's overflowed or not.
Yes, ma'am.
And it just is somebody who's not caring and not respectful of other people who are using the machine. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I actually agree with you. And I don't believe the story that you didn't know if you were in a rush, you only had 15 minutes and you didn't see that it was messy inside. I don't believe that, but that's not urgent. So after it all started over that, because she didn't clean up her mess, you must have said something to her.
No, I never said anything to her until the next day she approached me and she told me that she didn't like the way that I spoke to her.
Well, tell me, if she didn't like, so you're telling me that you didn't say anything to her?
Not other than I asked her to clean her mess out.
Well, tell me what you said to her.
I put a napkin in the microwave and I said, Keisha, can you please clean your mess?
Is that what she said to you?
No.
No, I don't believe that.
I do.
You have anything you want to say to me? Yes or no?
No.
I didn't think so. I don't believe this whole story about a witness.
I'm sorry.
I don't believe it. I don't believe there was a witness. I believe your car got keyed. I don't think you keyed your own car, because that would have been stupid for you to key your own car. But I don't think there was a witness, because it doesn't make sense.
I agree
What
with
you're
you.
telling me doesn't make sense. That you were able to contact the witness at the same phone number that I just called. The witness's name is not Mary Smith, but some other name.
I don't know, Your Honor.
I don't know either. And if I don't know, it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense to me, it's not true. And since more evidence than not suggests to me that you concocted this story with this person who just hung up on me because I started to ask some very pointed questions, it appears more likely than not that I'm going to find in the plaintiff's favor for false arrest. That's what I think. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope that the plaintiff takes her money and straightens her life out.
Never work at a telemarketing place with crazy people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sanchez versus Nesbitt, step forward, please.
25-year-old Jacqueline Sanchez is suing her brother, 24-year-old Joshua Nesbitt, for the cost to fix her Land Rover after he wrecked it.
Miss Sanchez, the defendant is your brother. You and your kids were staying with him for a period of time in Florida. It is your claim he borrowed your car, had an accident, and didn't pay for the damages to the car.
That's right, yes.
Give me the make and model of your car.
It's a 2002 Discovery Land Rover.
When did you purchase it?
We bought it in November 2006.
Who bought it?
My husband and I.
Is there a loan out on the car?
There is, yes.
What's left on the car?
A little over $14,000.
There's a loan out on the car. You had to have insurance.
We did have insurance, yes.
And?
The insurance that we had, it covered the other party's car and liability, but it didn't actually cover our vehicle.
It has to. You have to have collision insurance if you have a loan outstanding on the car. Ms. Sanchez?
It didn't.
Then you did something in violation of the law if you didn't have collision.
When I got the insurance coverage, I just asked what we needed, and that's what they gave us. I didn't.
No, I don't believe that at all.
Okay.
I don't believe that at all. Now, whenever you have a loan outstanding on a car, you have to have insurance. You have to have liability and collision so that the car can be completely covered. You have a letter there from the people to whom this $14,000 is owed?
No, because we've still been making the payments on it.
You have your insurance policy?
I do, yes.
I want to take a look at it. Let me see proof that you've been making payments on the car.
I don't have any proof that we've been making payments on it.
Who was the loan maker on the car?
CarMax Auto Financial.
Well, your brother's defense is that he knew that you had money outstanding on this car. He had an accident with the car. He assumed it was covered, right?
Yeah, I mean...
I would have assumed it was covered.
In the state of Florida, the law is...
I know what the law is in the state of Florida. I'm a resident of the
Yeah,
state
so
of
I was
Florida.
under
I'm
these-
speaking. You see my mouth moving? Don't interrupt me. You have to have collision insurance if you have a loan. So while I'm going to hear the case, I'm not making any award until I see proof that you've continued to make payments on the car up until the 1st of this month.
Okay.
When did you have the accident?
The accident was on July 28th, 2009.
Was it your fault?
Technically, it was
I don't
my-
want to hear technically. I
Yes,
asked you if it
yes.
was your fault.
Yes, it was my fault.
After the accident, what conversation did you have with your sister?
Well, I called my sister and I informed her that I was just in a car accident with her car, and the first thing she told me was that she didn't have collision on her car, which I was under the assumption that it was. So, I mean, I never would have gotten into the car and taken it for a drive in the first place if I didn't know that it didn't have collision on it.
Tell me about the fault aspect of this accident.
Well, I was driving up to West Palm, and
to do what?
I was going to court.
For what?
It was a
DUI?
reckless driving case. Excuse me.
Reckless driving and DUI?
Yes, but that
How did
case
I
got
know
thrown
that?
out. That case got thrown out because I wasn't in the wrong. They gave me a breathalyzer and I was under the legal limit, so they threw out the case, and that's why I didn't get charged with it.
Great. How do you think I knew that that's what you were on your way to court about?
Because you're a judge, I'm sure you can look up all my information.
I didn't look up a thing. I just knew. When was the last time you made a car payment?
Our car payments are due on the 18th. We haven't made one yet for this month, but...
But you made one in October?
Yes.
And one in September?
Yes.
And August?
No.
Why not?
Because I was stuck in Florida, they gave us an extension on it.
And how much is the damage on the car?
The estimate I got was for $62.50.
Let me see it. You have pictures of the car?
I do, yes.
You have any other defense to this action, sir?
The only information I got is while she was staying with us, her children and her caused damage and made a mess in the house.
Show me.
Oh, unfortunately, before I knew I was coming to course for the case, I had to hire a maid service to come clean my entire house. So I just brought that information with me.
Why didn't you clean the house yourself?
Because a lot of the things I didn't have the right kind of equipment to clean, like
All you needed
my
your 2
couch
hands and a rag. Mr. Nesbitt, I'm not going to torture you any further, sir. Sadly, as between your sister and you had the accident.
Correct.
The accident was your fault. So as between you and your sister, you're responsible for the damage. I'm not comfortable with your sister's claim that she has been making payments on this car. I'm not comfortable with that at all. So provisionally, I am entering a judgment in the amount that she requests. And when we receive proof by virtue of canceled checks and a statement from CarMax that she was current with her payments, then I will enter a final judgment in her favor for $5,000. Do you understand?
I do, yes.
Perfect. That's all.
Is suing his friend's former friend, Talena Bush, for a counterfeit check he cashed on her behalf. Talena says she is also an innocent victim.
That's case number 328 on the calendar, the matter of Michael versus Bush.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Mr. Michael, the defendant is a friend of yours.
Correct.
This is the friend.
His name's Peter All.
And you know Peter because you have custody of his 4 children.
Correct.
You have custody of his 4 children because he and the mother of those children are incapacitated.
They got in trouble in previous times and...
With drugs.
I'm not sure what legal matters, but yes.
Trust me.
Okay.
In any event, how long have you had custody of the children?
I'm starting my 5th year now.
As a foster parent?
Actually, as a guardian. I don't get, like, court benefits.
So you support them?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a paramedic firefighter.
How did you come to take the children?
I actually knew their mom. She lived in the neighborhood, and basically we knew each other that way. And when she got in trouble, I basically said that I would take care of them until she got out of the trouble she got into.
And how often does their father see them?
He doesn't see him as often as I'd like him to, but he does spend some time with him. And
does he give you any money for their support?
Well, he's done things like he's bought shoes for them and things like that. And
money for their support.
Yeah, there's been a couple occasions. You know, he'll give you 50, $60 different times.
And their mother?
She's in Florida and haven't seen her for a few years.
Well, Mr. Michael, it's interesting to know that there are still people around like you.
Thank you.
Anyway, Peter over here came to you and said to you that his girlfriend had a check that needed to be cashed. It was a certified check, according to you. And so, because you're a good soul, you said, well, if she's willing to wait, I'll put the money in my bank, because I don't have that much money. It was $6,000. I'll put the money in my account. When the check clears, I'll give her the money. But then somebody cried to you that they really needed the money. Who was that?
Well, when they first came to me, they basically said that it was they didn't say girlfriend, boyfriend. They said that they were doing web designs together, business partners. And they basically said that they were short some cash right then. And so I said, well, I'd give them $2,500 up front.
So you gave them the $2,500, and then later you gave them $3,500.
After the check cleared my bank, and my bank called me and said the check had cleared, I withdrew the rest of the amount and proceeded in giving the rest of the amount to them.
Who did you give it to?
I had to give it to PD All because at the time I didn't have Talena's address, didn't have a number or anything, and at the bank she was the one that stated to give it to him and that she would get it.
No, I never said that.
Listen to me.
Sorry.
Don't interrupt.
I'm sorry.
Good. When did the bank advise you that the check was bad?
It was the 31st of May.
Can I see the statement, please?
Yeah. There's the original check, and there's the notification from the bank.
Where did you get this check from, Miss Bush?
I got an email from someone that wanted me to build them a catering website, and he said he would send me the check. He wanted a 12-page website, and when I got the check, I did not have a banking account, so I asked...
How old are you?
32.
You're 32 years old, and you don't have a bank account?
I had just moved from North Carolina to Kentucky.
When?
Maybe 2 months before I got the check.
Yes.
And I didn't have
Who
a
are you
banking
living with?
I live by myself. Well, he stays with me.
That would be me, her brother.
You live in an apartment or a house?
House.
Do you rent it?
I'm owning it. I'm buying it.
Were you renting it?
No.
Well, whose house is it? How do you pay the rent?
It's in his name.
It would be my name. All of it.
So you didn't have a bank account?
No.
Why didn't you go to your brother and say to your brother, who is a homeowner, who clearly has a bank account, why don't you cash this check for me?
It's a rent-to-own type deal. He doesn't have a banking account either.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that somebody who pays for a house, and he's clearly somebody who's been around the block a few times, doesn't have a bank account or credit card. You have a wallet with you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Take out your wallet. Put it over there. Open up his wallet. Is there a credit card in there?
They're all mine.
Is there a credit card in there, is my
Yes.
question. Take them all out.
Okay. I had a bank account at one time.
Just a second. Just take them out. All the credit cards.
They're all not good.
How many credit cards are there?
2.
Bert, can I see the credit cards,
3.
please?
4.
I'll take them all.
The credit cards.
Bert, would you look in the wallet and make sure there are no other credit cards there, please? Thank you.
The one with my...
Shh, quiet. Is your name Jason?
Yeah.
Yes, would be the answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have 1 credit card that's yours, and I have 3 credit cards that are your sister's. That would be you.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And 1 is a debit card.
But the one...
Just a second. 1 is a debit card. Now, I don't use this kind of stuff, but wouldn't a debit card presuppose that you have a checking account that goes with it, Bird?
That's the general
That's
idea.
the general idea. You don't take this money out of, a chicken coop. You
The
take it out of a
only
bank, right?
The only reason why I have that credit card in there is because I lost my ID and it's got my picture on it, and it was an old banking account that I closed in North Carolina.
So why didn't you rip it up?
Because I have to have it for my picture to come out here.
Oh,
to
let's
fly.
go. U.S. Airways, Dividend Miles Platinum, and Liberty Union. What's Liberty Union?
It's a prepaid credit card. All them credit cards are prepaid.
Okay,
And
so a prepaid credit card doesn't mean you have to pay the bill?
No, it means you put money on it to have the money on your card. They don't give you credit. You just put the money on it.
And what about wired plastic?
That's a prepaid. You have to put money on it. It's just a way, so if you want to buy an airplane ticket or rent a hotel, you can do it. It's prepaid. You don't have to have credit. You just...
And how do you pay for the...
You put it on Western Union, and then the money's there for you to use it to do things like that
You
with it.
send them the cash into them to Western Union?
Yes, ma'am. It's prepaid.
Never heard of anything like this in my life. You have a bank account?
No, ma'am.
What's the name of the company you worked for who sent you this check?
Extreme Web Design is the name of the company that I own. I'm the only person that works there.
I didn't ask you that. I said, what is the name of the company who wrote you this check?
Carlton's Catering Service.
Where are they located?
They're in UK is where it came from. But he said he was opening up a business in Cancun, Mexico, and requested for me to build him a website, 12 pages. And then after I had gotten the money, actually...
Listen to me very carefully, sir. They're all a bunch of scammers. Him and her and the brother. You got scammed out of $6,000. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Her excuse is he ran off for $3,500. I don't believe it. They scammed you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much money do you give Mr. Michael for your 4 children every week?
I'm giving to him every week.
Outrageous, sir. You are an outrage.
And later today,
She called me and said, I need to get my act together. I want to come back. I'm going to join AA. And I said, okay, we can make this work.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel Michael claims former friend Talena Bush had him cash a counterfeit check for $6,000.
If he deserted his 4 children and is not parenting his 4 children, doing the most dishonest thing that a person could do, make children and then desert them, why do you think he would be honest with you?
You know, he's just really been trying, and like I said, he comes around.
He's been trying? I can look at him and tell how hard he's been trying. Where do you work?
I work for Cox Drywall.
Stand up.
I work every day.
Good. How much? That's great. How much money do you earn?
14 an hour.
How much money do you take home a week?
After taxes, probably over 400.
And who do you live with?
Oh,
it's not an answer.
my fiance and 2 children.
Who's the fiance?
Misty.
Who is she?
It's a friend.
Wasn't your girlfriend?
No, she wasn't my girlfriend. We just
So you
friends.
live with Misty?
In business together.
You're in business with her?
I used to be her errand. Used to run errands for us, what I did. Right.
How much money do you give Mr. Michael for your 4 children every week?
I don't give it to him every week.
Why not?
Just don't.
Why?
I don't know.
Outrageous, sir. You are an outrage.
Yeah, I'm an outrage.
You're an outrage. Sit
Yeah.
down. Give her back this check, please. Can't look at her anymore. Him either. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all, sir. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Keep your hard-earned money in the bank where you are going to need it for these children. Understand? Because you're not going to get any help from him.
Thank you.
That's all.
Parties are excused. I'm going to step out.
I didn't scam Dan.
I tried to lend them money in good faith and got taken for it.
I basically was scammed myself.
If she got scammed by a check or not, I honestly don't know.
Well, I didn't get the other $3,500. Dan gave that to Petey, and then he ran off with it.
I wish I did get $3,500. Period. She's lying.
It was a bad check. She didn't know about it, and she got took from him. He hustled her.
They're together. They're the scam artists.
I felt bad for Dan, yes.
I'm not going to cash people's checks anymore. You learn from your mistakes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Howard versus Kozar. Step forward, please.
22-year-old Kendra Howard is suing former roommate Bridget Kozar for pocketing their rent money. Kendra claims Bridget is a thief.
Miss Howard, you and the defendant decided to lease an apartment together. And it is your claim that during the term that you actually lived together, it was your practice to give the defendant your half of the rent.
Yes.
The defendant acknowledges that that was the practice, that you gave her your half of the rent. You claim that she moved out, and when you checked with the landlord says that the landlord never got your half of the rent, that there was substantial amount still owing on the lease, and you want to know where your money went. Ms. Kozar says that she actually did pay the rent each and every month that you were there. You were late in paying your rent, which caused late fees to accrue on the rent. Late fees, according to you, which were $3,270. That's a lot of late fees. Anyway, so I assume we're going to be able to work this out with paperwork. When did you decide to live together?
It would have been October of 2005.
And when did you sign the lease?
I believe it was November 31st of 2005. We moved in December 1st.
There were only 30 days in November.
I'm sorry, 30th.
I just went through that in my head very quickly because I was practically positive I never heard of anybody being born on November 31st. Okay. Who moved into the house?
She did first for about, I think it was 2 or 3 days before I got everything over there.
Is it a house or an apartment?
It's an apartment.
How many bedrooms?
3.
And who lived there?
Myself and the defendant.
What was the rent?
It was $809 a month.
Okay. And when did you leave?
I left the 30th of July.
So you were there 8 months?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
The plaintiff had made it quite clear that she wanted me out of the apartment. She wanted me gone and the place for herself and her boyfriend, and she made the situation to live there quite impossible. And for my safety, I decided I needed to get out. I couldn't wait till the end of the lease.
This is the boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. You living in the apartment now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Together?
Yes, ma'am.
Same apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have a statement from the landlord that the 1st of August, what the arrears were on the rent?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
I don't have the actual statement from the landlord. I have the amount of money that they told me was owed and everything.
That's not what I asked for.
Okay, I apologize.
I asked for a statement from the landlord.
From the landlord, okay, that I don't have.
Well, I don't accept what you have. What you have is merely your calculations. That's hearsay, Miss Howard.
Well, I also have a sworn affidavit. I have receipts from what I paid that day.
Sworn
and
affidavit
everything.
from whom?
From my father.
I have to see from the landlord what it is that he said were arrearages. Do you have that?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Oh, great. Can I see it, please?
You certainly may. It's written, handwritten on the bottom.
No, I'm not interested in what's handwritten on the bottom. I'm interested in this printed.
Well, it would be at the top of the page, ma'am.
Okay, so the balance due as of July 30th was $2,377.
Yes.
So I assume you have checks to the landlord.
They did not accept checks, only money orders, and I have a few of the money order stubs, yes.
Well, what about receipts?
They didn't give receipts.
They've given me a receipt every time I've gone in there to pay.
No, Ms. Kozar.
I'm sorry, they did not give me a receipt when I went in.
Well, that's your problem. Ms. Kozar, you have a problem. Your problem is your own statement acknowledges that the plaintiff paid you her share of the rent each month, albeit sometimes late. That's what you swear to in your answer. And you say that late fees accrued because she paid the rent late. But there are no late fees that would have accrued that would have brought the balance of what was owed to $2,377.20.
Part of what was paid, that had to be paid for her to be able to sign me off the lease to get me out of the apartment, which was what she wanted. And that was also August's rent.
How much was that?
$3,200.
$3,200 to get her off the lease?
No, that was how much was owed, and I didn't want to have a judgment against me, and that's why I paid it.
Well, is that also to get her off the lease?
No, I wasn't worried about getting her off the lease at that point.
How much did it cost you to get her off the lease?
Not a dime.
Nothing?
No.
Okay, who are you?
Alicia.
Alicia what?
Moreland.
Are you a landlord or work for the landlord?
No.
Who are you?
I am her best friend, and the reason why I know this is because every time that we went in there, I went with her. And at the bottom of the notice, it says in order for
I don't take what's in the bottom of the notice.
Okay.
The bottom of the notice is hearsay.
Okay.
Sit.
May I present my side, ma'am?
Sure.
Okay. We moved in, and the first month went okay, but by February, she was having problems with her current boyfriend because they were drinking too much.
Listen,
and
get on with the rent.
We weren't even together.
She moved out in February, just up and moved out because she broke up with the boyfriend, couldn't handle it, needed to leave, left for Illinois.
Don't speak.
And I paid my half of that month's rent, but that still left me up in the air for her half. That's when the late fees, yes, that's when the late fees started accruing.
Okay.
Then she called me and said, I need to get my act together. I want to come back. I'm going to join AA. And I said, okay, we can make this work. You know, and so I drove her to AA meetings and helped her work.
Get on with the rent.
And then it was a little bit before she got a job, and her dad paid for her expenses. But in the meantime, she may have come up with rent, but the late fees were still accruing, and I was paying her half of the utilities and taking care of her animal. And from there on, it just snowballed. Now to
listen to me. I hear your side of the case, and your side of the case is pretty much what you said in the answer, which was I did an awful lot of stuff for her. Bottom line is you were responsible for ensuring that the rent was paid. And I have heard nothing that either she or her father didn't see to it that her half of the rent was paid. And yet there is a deficiency of $2,300.
That whole $2,300 was not back fees. That also included the August's rent that she had to pay to stay in there.
You weren't there in August.
No, I was moved out by then. But they wanted August's rent, and that was part of the $2,300 she had to pay.
No, it wasn't. That's what brought it to $3,200.
Just a second. Was that part of August's rent?
No, not at all.
$3,200? Okay. This says, as of July 30th, what was owed was $2,377.20. And Ms. Kozar, unless you can establish to my satisfaction that you paid this money to the landlord, this is your debt. It was your responsibility to pay the landlord. Now, you pay the landlord by money order, and if you pay the landlord by money order, you get a rent receipt. And if you didn't get a rent receipt, then you had ample opportunity to go back to the landlord when you knew you were being sued for this money and saying, look,
I did go back to the landlord.
Show me the rent receipts.
They didn't have any of the rent receipts in our file.
Well, then that's not my problem, madam. That's what you have to do. How old are you?
I'm 42.
And you have how many children?
I have 3.
You have 3 children. So somebody who's 42 years old and has 3 children, when they make a business arrangement with somebody who is how old?
22.
22. You're supposed to act responsibly. And the responsible thing for you to do is keep records, keep a bank account. That's what you're supposed to do. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,377. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Loan officer Richard Sinise is suing his former friend, loan officer Melissa Trekkie, for half the commission on a loan.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 273 on the calendar in the matter of Sinise versus Trekkie. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Sinise, the defendant was a friend of yours for several years and a co-worker at a mortgage refinance company.
Yes, ma'am.
Your lawsuit alleges that you brought in a customer to refinance his mortgage. He was a friend of yours. And then, unfortunately for you, you were violated on a parole violation and you were sent to jail. You asked the defendant if she would like to finish the loan application with the agreement that she would split the commission with you. She agreed. And you were in prison for how long?
6 months, ma'am.
When you got out of jail, you called her and said, "Where's my check?" And she says, "I'm not giving you your half of the check because I did all the work." That's your defense.
Basically. I have a little bit more to say about it.
Well, I hope not much more, madam. Let's see what we can agree upon.
Okay.
How long have you been working at this mortgage finance company?
Approximately a year.
And how much of a commission do you get when you refinance a loan?
It was 60% of all of the total fees that were involved in the loan.
So let's say I want to refinance a $100,000 mortgage. What would your commission be?
I'd probably make about $2,500.
What's your friend's name?
Paul, ma'am.
That's not him, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good. Very good. Paul, step up, please.
Sure.
Paul, why did you want to refinance this loan?
I was going to invest in some other property I had, and it seemed like the interest rates were right at the time.
So you contacted your friend?
Yeah. I mean, I knew he was in the business. He told me he had just started working there, so.
You thought you'd give him the business?
Absolutely.
When was this?
I would say probably end of October, maybe the beginning of November, we started talking about it.
Of 2005?
Yes, correct.
And did you ultimately refinance your house?
Yes, I did.
Through the company that they worked for?
Yes, that's right.
And how much was the refinance?
I don't remember the exact, but I think it was around $250 something.
Mr. Sinise, how much was it?
The total refinance was $235,000, ma'am.
Is that correct, Ms. Trackey?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the commission on that?
I ended up making $4,660. I have to check that. $4,666.51.
That was your entire commission?
Yes.
Now, when you found out that you were being violated, by the way, what were you violated for?
Dirty urine, ma'am.
Not smart. Right?
Right.
When you found out that you were going back to serve the rest of your term, what was your conversation with the defendant?
I had called the defendant that night, and I knew she was in financial hardship, and I could have used the money as well to make my car payments while I was away. So I asked her if she would be willing to finish the loan, and we would split the commission 50-50, and she agreed to that.
Okay. The loan was completed, and you got no money.
Correct.
Okay, Ms. Trackey, now I'm waiting for the explanation.
Okay. When this all happened, he asked me to do the loan. There was nothing done on the loan initially. He had just talked to him and said, okay, I'm going to refinance your house. So
He was the rainmaker.
Excuse me?
You know what that means, rainmaker?
No.
That means he brings in the business. Because without his bringing in the business, there would have been nothing for you to share.
Correct.
So he didn't do anything on the loan but bring in the business.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Initially, the loan amount was supposed to be over $300,000. We went over the paperwork, the disclosures that he had printed out from when he, put the loan together.
When who put the loan together?
In the computer, put the loan together. You just print out paperwork.
So he had done something.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
He put something in a computer.
Yes, he did.
That's more than I could do. Go ahead.
Okay. We had gone over exactly what the loan was going to be like, and like I said, the loan amount was going to be larger because he had stated to me that he knew the value of the property, which was...
All right, you thought it was going to be $300,000. It turned out to be $235,000.
No, it was supposed to be about probably $50,000 more, correct. So, the loan amount, because he wanted... Okay. Okay. So, I asked him where he got that figure from, because that obviously makes...
You got to get to a point.
Okay. So, he made up the value of the property. When I found out the real value, we had to cut the original amount that we were supposed to split. We were supposed to split $9,000. That was the original total fee.
You could have backed out any time. Ms. Trackey, first of all, this loan was completed... Listen to me. Hey, the loan was completed what month and year?
It happened just after January 1st, 2006.
Okay. Since January 1st, 2006, how much money have you made at the company?
Well, I left that company probably a few months later than that. I would say $10,000.
Since January 1st, 2006, how much money have you made?
$50,000.
I hope that the IRS is listening very carefully. How much money have you made since January 2006?
To be honest, I didn't file my last taxes. So.
Ms. Jack.
Yes.
If you decided when you got into this loan with Mr. Zemanek that the loan amount was inadequate for you to break a sweat and complete, you had that opportunity. But you had a contract with Mr. Sinise. Your contract with Mr. Sinise was you were going to split the commission. It wasn't I will split the commission with you of $9,000.
That was what our
No, it was not. Because that amount fluctuates. You got $4,666.51. Now, do you think that I think that Mr. Sinise said to you, I will split the commission, but if it's $4,666.51, you can keep it all yourself?
No.
No. No.
But when you're dishonest with somebody about the original contract, and I found that out through the process.
Say no, my dear. Say I don't want to do the loan.
Well, he was in jail, so I
I'd
tell
say,
him
Mr. Zemanek, I don't want to do your loan. It's not worth my while to do your loan for $4,666.51. I would rather make nothing. I would rather make nothing than make $2,300. It's not worth it to me to make this lowly amount of money, especially when I don't have to share it with the government.
Well, I got an extension. I am filing.
No, the time to file, madam, is past. Let me explain something to you. It passed October 15th. If you got a 6-month extension, it's over. Finished. They're going to come looking for you. They're going to steal your clothes. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,333. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's like that. I definitely didn't backstab my friend because we had been friends since then. He told me to forget about the money until he got mad at me.
She didn't want to do me a favor when I was incapable of doing it myself.
Because I didn't do him a favor and get perfume for his girlfriend.
1 cent just cost her over $2,300.
He's a punk.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barrett versus Levito. Step forward, please.
Jennifer Barrett is suing her fiancé's ex-girlfriend, Tara Levito, for making false allegations to Child Protective Services. Tara says she stands by her claim.
Ms. Barrett, the defendant is the ex-girlfriend of your current fiancé, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your claim that she made false allegations about you to Child Protective Services, which resulted in an investigation, some embarrassment. The charges were unfounded, according to you.
Yes.
And you want compensation for that. You said she did it out of retaliation for something. The defendant says that her concerns about your child were legitimate, which is why she called Child Protective Services, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Her daughter's hair wasn't brushed and she was looking dirty, and I just felt that the phone call that I made was correct. And
I don't care what I didn't ask you about your feelings yet. I'm not quite interested in your feelings now or ever.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Barrett claims her fiancé's ex-girlfriend, Tara Levito, filed a false report with Child Protective Services. Tara insists Jennifer is a bad mother.
Now, explain this relationship. She's the ex-girlfriend of your current fiancé.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have children with her current fiancé?
No children, Your Honor.
Do you have any reason to have contact with him?
It's just that he calls me, no.
Calls you how often?
All the time. I just had to change my number recently because he calls me all the time.
Did you know that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You called Child Protective Services when?
This was about May, maybe April of this past year. And the reason I called was because I felt that her daughter was being neglected, and I seen her at numerous times pulling on her daughter. Her daughter was screaming, and there was bruises that were seen on her daughter.
Okay.
So I felt...
Just a second. Miss Levito. That's not true. How many times have you seen Miss Barrett with her daughter?
About 3 times.
When was the first time?
The first time was in Mamaroneck, New York, and it was...
Date?
January.
January of 06?
Yes.
And what did you see?
I seen her, and
saw her.
I'm sorry?
You saw her?
Yeah. Her daughter and Jennifer in Mamaroneck around like a whole bunch of guys, and her daughter was like just like dancing around and stuff like that, and I saw her like yelling at her daughter at one time.
Okay.
And
how old is her daughter?
I'd say about 7 to 8 years old.
So you saw her yelling.
Mm-hmm.
When was the next time?
Okay, that would probably be in like March.
March of 06. Where did you see her?
That was in Mamaroneck on the avenue, and she was pulling on her daughter, and her daughter was crying.
Pulling her how?
Pulling on her arm.
And her daughter was crying?
Yes.
When was the next time you saw her?
That would probably be in May of 2006, and that would be in Mamaroneck also.
Yes?
So I seen her pulling on her daughter again. And I seen that her daughter's hair wasn't brushed and she was looking dirty. And I just felt that the phone call that I made was correct. And
I don't care what I didn't ask you about your feelings yet. I'm not quite interested in your feelings now or ever. I just want to know what you saw.
Okay.
January, you saw nothing. March, you saw her pulling her arm. And in May, which was either before or after you called Child Protective Services, because you said you called them in either April or May.
Right.
You saw her pulling her arm.
Yes.
So it is possible that when you called Child Protective Services, you saw her once in March pulling the child's arm. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, it is my understanding, Miss Barron, that you had had an altercation with the defendant's boyfriend. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this your boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend. But he was the boyfriend at the time?
Yes, he was.
When did you have this altercation with the boyfriend?
The beginning of June, 2006.
Can I see the report that was filed, please, both on the altercation with the boyfriend and the report to Child Protective Services?
They wouldn't give me a police report for when he came into my job, but I do have the report.
What did he come into your job for?
Telling me that my fiance kept calling Tara, and she was on his cell phone threatening me, but I couldn't do anything because it wasn't a direct threat to me. It was through him on a cell phone. These allegations, Your Honor, weren't made until June 19th or 20th.
Hold on a second. You made the report to Child Protective Services in June.
No, Your Honor.
Well, according to this, you did.
Well, it could have been somebody else calling.
No. Is this the only letter that you got in 2006 with regard to a complaint called about you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, can you tell me the date you made a police report against the defendant's boyfriend?
It had to be around a week before the allegations.
You have any sort of police report?
No, they wouldn't let me file one.
Why?
They told me that there's nothing I can do because I only had his nickname. I didn't know his correct whole name. And they said that there's nothing that I can do.
Name?
Wesley Rayno.
What did you go to her job for?
Actually, I was shopping in the Family Dollar. The Family Dollar is located in Mount Vernon, where I work at. And when I went in the shop and bought me some dollar items, I recognized the defendant.
I don't want you to speak. Listen to me. He's going to tell me his story. Go ahead.
I also have problems with the defendant's ex-boyfriend. He does call, because he calls my job, he calls and harasses me, and he calls and hangs up and all kinds of stuff. So what I explained to her, I asked her what her name was. At first I asked her what her name was. Then I called my girlfriend, and she explained to me that her name was Jennifer. So then I approached her again. I asked her, was she the girlfriend, fiance of the gentleman? Then I explained to her that the gentleman is calling my job, he's calling, he's harassing me, but when she's not around, he doesn't know what the gentleman does. He does call Tara. I never once got out of line, threatened her, called out of her name, caused the uproar in the store, or anything. I left on good terms, and I brought my items and walked out of the store.
Now, what did he say to you?
He told me that my fiance was calling Tara when I wasn't around, emailing her. I don't know anything about him calling his job, and he never purchased anything. He came in the store and left right after speaking to me.
Did you call the police when he left?
Yes, I did.
And did you give the police Miss Levito's name?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Did you give the police her phone number?
No, because I didn't know her phone number at the time.
Did you have her address?
No.
What other identifying information did you have other than her name?
I knew his nickname that's tattooed on his arm. That's how I knew that it was her boyfriend. And she was on his cell phone. I'm going to come there. I'm going to beat her up. I'm going to F her up and wanting to fight me all the time, Your Honor, and I'm tired. I'm tired of arguing with her.
Shh. Now, Miss Levito, when did the police contact you?
They never contacted me. I found out through her boyfriend now, because he has, like, diarrhea of the mouth.
Okay, good. Well, when did he call you and contact you?
He's always calling me, Your Honor.
No, listen to my question.
Okay.
When, after your ex-boyfriend went into the store and confronted Miss Barron, did her fiance call you?
That same exact day. Probably right after he walked out the store. Okay, I'm sorry.
Just answer my questions. Okay. What did he say when he called?
He said that my boyfriend went in there harassing her, saying that he's threatening her boyfriend or all this mess. And it wasn't even true because I know him, and he went up like just to resolve the whole situation that's been going on. Her boyfriend still constantly calls me. I just had to change my cell number again. You know, she's always talking stuff about me over the phone, and it's just crazy.
Mr. Reno, do you remember what date you were in the store?
Definitely not. It was a while ago. I didn't remember the situation was going on. I mean, just like Tara says, the gentleman pops up and he's in front of my job.
Nothing, listen to me. It has nothing to do with her.
Yeah, but I honestly don't remember. It wasn't like that's.
I'm just asking you.
Okay.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
How many?
One.
How old?
6 years old.
Child live with you?
No.
Who's the child live with?
He lives with his mother.
You have children?
No.
Who do you live with?
Myself. I have my own apartment.
How many times have you called Child Protective Services in your life?
I've called maybe 2 other times.
Tell me about those 2 other calls.
One was because I was seeing this girl being bruised up before, and it was a friend of a friend's, and I called on them anonymously because I feel that if you see anything going on...
Listen to me. Shh. I didn't ask you what you feel.
Okay.
I told you before, I have absolutely no interest in your feelings.
Okay.
A friend of a friend...
Daughter was bruised up.
Was bruised,
and I
so you
seen
called?
It. Yes.
When was the second time?
The other time was when I was at a park and I saw the mother like reprimanding the kid and hitting the kid on the backside and everything like that, and she was just like shouting at the kid, and the kid was in tears, and the child wasn't even doing anything wrong because I was basically there from the time that the mother came till they left. So I called.
How did you know the mother's name?
It's known town.
I don't understand that.
It's a town that I know people in that were there with me that knew the person's name.
So you asked them the person's name?
Yes, they were with me, yes. Mm-hmm.
You're making it up as you're going along, Miss Levito, but I'm enjoying this immensely, so I'm going to let it go on. I'm going to let it move on. So if the other people that you were with knew this person, and you didn't, why do you think you were the one to make the call?
Because I don't even know if I can...
I told you, I don't care about how you feel. What I'm asking you is, why would you think you would call as opposed to people who know this person?
Well, I'm sure they did too, because they told me they were going to.
Really?
Yes.
You're just making it up as you're going along, Miss Levito.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Okay. You're absolutely right. She called Child Protective Services on you because she was annoyed with you. She did it out of vindictiveness and malice, having absolutely nothing to do with what she saw. Because according to the dates that she gave me, if I believe her, she saw you pulling your daughter by the arm 1 time. She's seen you in total of 3 times. So if her sense of civic responsibility overwhelmed her, that's going to cost her $2,500 because I think you're a vicious, nasty little lady. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Burek is suing her former employer, Lisa Adams, for 1 month's salary and for the cost of an airline ticket. Danielle claims she was wrongfully terminated.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 276 on the calendar in the matter of Burek versus Adams.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Ms. Burek, you were employed for a period of time as a nanny for the defendant's child. 1 child?
1 child.
And it is your claim that you had a contract. It was an oral contract, and that contract provided that you would give them 30 days' notice of your intention to leave, and they would give you 30 days' notice of their intention to terminate your services. There came a time when you were away on some sort of a vacation, and you claimed that Miss Adams unceremoniously fired you without giving you the requisite 30-day notice. Right. In addition, you claim that they owe you the plane ticket because if you had not been terminated so abruptly, you would have had a plane ticket to come home from vacation. So that's your case. Ms. Adams says that there was certainly a contract, an oral contract, that provided that you would give them 30-day notice of your intention to leave, but there was no commensurate 30-day provision with regard to them, that they could fire you at will at any time. That's your defense.
Correct.
When did you begin your employment with the Adams family?
I started working for them February 14th of 2005.
How did you find Miss Burek, Miss Adams?
Through a nanny agency.
What was the name of the agency?
I actually don't recall the agency.
It was Elite Domestic Agency.
Could you keep your voice up, please? Hear my voice? Ah! Keep your voice up so I can hear
Agency.
you. What?
Elite Domestic Agency.
February 14th, 2005. And you worked until when, Miss Burak?
Last day I worked was August 11th of 2006, total of 18 months.
Miss Adams, you have a little boy or a little girl?
Little boy.
How old is he?
He's 2.5 years old.
So he was a little less than a year old.
He was
when Miss Burak came.
Correct.
And she took good care of him?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
My husband and I own a design firm at the Pacific Design Center.
So you really relied on her to be the sole custodian of your son while you were at work?
Absolutely.
And this is your only child?
Yes.
Tell me why you fired her.
There were many incidents that led up to the termination. It was definitely a culmination of incidents. The last incident was Danielle going on vacation.
When did she go on vacation?
She went on vacation. The dates changed. So at first she wanted to take off August 11th, 14th, and 15th. On the day of the 10th, she requested to take off the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And that was a pattern with her. She was very notorious for always leaving and not coming back the day she was supposed to come back. So that was not surprising to me that she requested those 3 days. I had to reschedule my meetings, and I said that was fine. The day she was leaving, I said, please, please come back on the 17th. I need you back to work.
Now, the 17th was what day of the week?
Thursday. I said, I have meetings at work. I really need you to be back. And she hugged me, and she said, I will be back. In my mind, I thought, I'm sure something is going to come up, whether it's the plane, was delayed, there was something happened, something was going to come up. And indeed, on Tuesday, I got an email saying that she wanted to take Thursday and Friday off and that she would be back to work on Monday. I sent an email saying, and I spoke to my husband, and I said, I cannot believe this, but at the same time, I could. And I said, I really need you back to work on Thursday. Please come back to work. And she basically then sent me an email saying that she had another person that could come in and fill in for her.
Who did she have to fill in for her?
A friend.
A friend
who is
whose
also
name
a
is?
nanny.
I
believe her name is Simone.
Had you ever met her?
I met her once. So I was not comfortable with...
Do you know who she works for?
I do not know the mother. So I really don't know anything about her.
Okay.
And so she said that she wanted to have her fill in. And I said, no, that's not going to work for me. I don't know who she is. I don't feel comfortable having her watch my son without me there at the house. And she sent me an email saying she's very trustworthy and she's my friend. And I said, this is not personal. I don't know who she is. No. And I basically said, again, I needed you back to work on Thursday. So when that avenue closed, she then said, oh, by the way, I didn't get my paycheck on Friday, the Friday prior. And the reason she couldn't come to work was because she didn't have a plane ticket to come back to work. So, just everything going up in the air now. What was the lie? Was the lie that there was an annual event in Santa Fe that prevented her to coming back to work?
I'll find out in a minute.
Okay.
There was no lie.
Just to say, I'll find out in a minute.
Sure.
She wanted the extra 2 days because the extra 2 days meant the extra 2 days plus a weekend. Where was the boyfriend?
The fiance was in New Mexico.
With you?
Correct. And
Is
his
that where
daughter.
he lives?
No, he was out in New Mexico for work with his daughter.
Did you travel out there together with him?
No. They drove together separate earlier, and I flew on my own.
Okay. When were they coming back?
They were coming back on the following Monday.
So you were going to be flying home alone, according to you, on Sunday.
Well, I was going to fly back Wednesday night to be back to work for Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
And I didn't receive my paycheck for my last 2 weeks of pay, and I kept asking Lisa why I wasn't getting the paycheck, and she wasn't addressing it. And I didn't have the funds in my account to purchase a ticket back to work.
How did you purchase the ticket, Miss Burak, to go out there?
I had money in my account.
Well, I want to know how exactly you did that. Did you pay for that ticket in cash? Did you pay for that ticket with a credit card? How did you pay for that ticket? I'm sure you can document it for me.
I paid for my ticket online.
Online with what?
With my debit card.
You have a record of that?
I don't. I have a record of flying back, but I don't have a record of that, no.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Miss Burak, when you lie about one thing, your entire testimony becomes suspect, madam. The reason I asked to see this is because I didn't believe that the reason you didn't buy a return ticket was because you didn't have money in your account. And I didn't believe you when you said to me that I paid for it with a debit card because you're trying to think too hard. Now, it doesn't make sense for you to pay for one ticket going one way with a debit card and the other way with your MasterCard, which is how you paid for this ticket. So it didn't make any difference whether you had the paycheck in your account or not. You could have purchased your round-trip ticket at the same time you purchased a ticket going. You could have purchased it coming back. Because you didn't use a debit card, you used MasterCard.
Well, the reason why I didn't book the flight back was because I didn't have enough money in my account on
You told me
Thursday
that
night.
before. I didn't believe it when you told me for the first time. And now that you hand this thing to me, it clearly says that this ticket was purchased with a MasterCard, which doesn't require that you have the money in the bank at the time of the purchase. You just have to pay it when you get the bill. You follow me?
I follow you.
Good. So that's not why you didn't buy your ticket, because you didn't have money in the bank. So the story that you just told me about not buying the ticket on Wednesday is really not true.
Well, it is true.
No, it isn't. Then explain to me why it was purchased on MasterCard.
Because my fiancé offered to pay for my ticket.
He should have offered to pay for your ticket on Wednesday when you were due home.
Well, I didn't feel comfortable asking him.
I understand why you fired her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That requires a yes or a no answer.
They didn't pay me, yes. I would equally
That's
say.
not my question, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, maybe
this is my ballpark. Okay, my playground.
And later today,
If she felt that she needed the money before, she should have called the travel agent herself.
She could have done this, and she would have done that. And if she did this, she wouldn't have been in that chair. She had an agreement with you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Nanny Danielle Burak claims former employer Lisa Adams terminated her without cause. Lisa says Danielle was unreliable.
Now you want me to believe that you had a contract with Miss Adams. Part of the contract was that if she was going to terminate you without cause, she would give you 30 days' notice. Because, Miss Burak, you cannot expect someone who has entrusted their most precious possession, their child, with you, if you do something that's wrong to the child, let's say she finds you hitting the child, you think she's required to give you 30 days' notice and pay you?
No, but that never
No.
happened.
No, the answer is no. You think that if she catches you doing drugs in the house, she's got to give you 30 days' notice and pay you? The answer would be, of course, no, right? Well, what Miss Adams is saying is she found you to be dishonest, that you were giving her dishonest answers for what your intentions were when you went on this vacation, that you had an intention to follow a course of conduct which was coming back late and being irresponsible. So while it's true that you didn't, as far as she knows, abuse her child or neglect her child, it is a short leap from being dishonest with regard to one thing to another. And what she's saying is she fired you for cause. And the cause was you were due back on Wednesday, and you didn't come back on Wednesday. We're going to come back the following Monday. That's unsatisfactory. You have a responsibility. Is this your fiancé?
Yes.
What kind of work does he do?
He's an artist. He's a photographer and a writer and a producer.
Does he have any full-time gainful employment?
Yes.
At what?
He's an actor.
Well, does he act in something regularly?
Yes.
What?
A show on ABC.
What show on ABC?
Wildfire.
He has a recurring role? I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
Yes, he does.
Your last name is?
Haynes, Your Honor.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes, ma'am.
How often do you film Wildfire?
About once every 2 to 3 weeks.
And
They're building the roll-up.
how many days a week do you film, sir?
It can be anywhere from 3 to 5.
Sounds wonderful to me, sir.
Yes.
Did you ever call your producer and say to your producer, I'm in Santa Fe. I can't make it on Friday. I just answer my question. I'm in Santa Fe. I can't make it on Friday.
Well, Your Honor,
No. I'm just asking you a question, sir, that requires a yes or a no answer.
If they didn't pay me, yes, I would equally say.
That's not my question, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe
this is my ballpark.
Yes, it is.
Okay, my playground. Did you ever call your producer and say to your producer, I can't get to Santa Fe on Friday. I'll come on Monday. Or have you always shown up when you're supposed to, on time?
I always show up when I'm supposed to.
Thank you. You can sit down now. You ought to teach your fiancé the same thing. You were fired, Miss Burak, for cause. The cause was that you acted irresponsibly. And if she fired you for cause, even if she had an agreement to give you notice without cause, for cause, she doesn't have to give you any notice, because that would be ridiculous. If you were abusing her child, she wasn't going to give you 30 days' notice. If you were neglecting her child, she wasn't going to give you 30 days' notice. And she found out that you were irresponsible. and this wasn't evidently a one-shot deal, this had happened before. Something that happens with nannies, by the way, because Miss Burak doesn't want to spend the next 30 years being a nanny. What I'm trying to tell you is Miss Burak is trying to find her way and figure out what she wants to do with her life, right? I know very, very few people who want to be Mrs. Doubtfire, that's their role in life. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if she blows you off for a day or two, most nannies feel as if they've got you right here because they're in charge of your children. You have no case, Miss Burak. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
While we do feel like Danielle did a good job with our child,
Well, I was very attached. I'm very close to Kai.
it was really a culmination of things of dishonesty and deceit.
Well, I wasn't dishonest.
There were numerous incidents.
I really didn't have the funds to come back to work.
You know, the most important thing is my son, Kai.
I just hope that Kai finds peace.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mimsgrave versus Gilmore. Step forward.
19-year-old Brittany Mimsgrave is suing her former friend, Samantha Gilmore, for the return of money she paid to go on a cruise. Samantha says Brittany backed out at the last minute.
Miss Mimsgrave.
Yes.
Miss Gilmore was a friend of yours. You had been friends for a long time, according to what I read in
Yes.
your complaint. A group of girls decided to go on a trip. Where were you going?
We were going on a Mexican cruise.
For how many days?
A week.
And what was the cost to each girl?
It was $325 each.
Very reasonable for a whole week.
Yes.
Did they feed you on this trip for $325 for a week?
I actually don't know. I didn't go.
Do they feed you?
Yes, they do.
In any event, you paid Miss Gilmore your $325.
Yes.
She was making the arrangements. How old are you?
I'm 19.
And you?
19.
Am I correct that someone in the party had to be 21 in order for the girls to go?
Yes.
What you tell me in your complaint is that one of the girls, I believe her name was Ashley, was the 21-year-old, she backed out.
Yes.
So now you have a predicament. You've paid your $325, as have other girls, and unless you found someone else who was 21 years old, you couldn't go.
Yes.
So according to you, you waited for a while to see if somebody else was going to go and somebody else was going to go, and nothing happened, so you made other plans for that period of time. That's what you say. And according to you, Miss Gilmore decided to take her brother.
Yes. Well, actually...
Decided to take her brother. He was going to pay for himself. And his brother had a friend whose name was?
Gaius.
Gaius?
Gaius Mike. And he goes by Mike.
Good. Whose name was Mike. Mike went on your ticket.
Yes.
And you want the money.
Yes.
Now, didn't Mike pay?
No.
Why not?
Because we had made oral agreement that Mike was going to pay after the cruise, but Brittany showed up at my house the day before. We left saying that she wanted it then.
Just a minute. Who did Mike make the arrangement with? With you?
With me. He made with me and she made it with me.
Just a second. So Mike made the arrangement with you that he was going to pay for the trip.
Yes.
And you told her that Mike was paying for the trip. That was your agreement with him.
Yes.
Now she's suing you because you told her you're going to get your money for this ticket. That's what you told her.
Yes.
Go get the money from Mike. She has no way of suing him because they did not have an agreement. The agreement was between the two of you. You have a cause of action against him if he breached that agreement and didn't give you the money.
Yes, but since she had come to my house saying that she wanted the money earlier than she had expected, I figured if she felt that she needed the money before, even though he wasn't able to provide it for her, she should have called the travel agent herself and said that, because what she said was she wanted her ticket or the money.
Madam.
Ma'am.
She could have done this and she would have done that, and if she did this, she wouldn't have been in that chair. She had an agreement with you, and the agreement was you were going to give her back her money because your brother and his friend were going on this trip with you. And if the friend stiffed you, sue him. He went, he had a good time. I assume he ate, right? Well, I'm sure his company wasn't that terrific that entitled him to a free ride, right? Right, Mr. Gilmore? You wouldn't give him a free ride.
Ma'am, she canceled out at the very last minute.
Are you following me? Your daughter made an agreement with her that she would get her money back. She has to do that. Now, since she did not gain anything herself, perhaps, unless she likes Mike, she has an absolute right to turn around and sue Mike for the cost of the ticket because he promised to pay her, and he didn't. She may have had a lot of other options. She doesn't have to exercise all those other options. She had an agreement with your daughter. Do you get it?
Yes.
Good. Now, you have a counterclaim for harassment and the expenses surrounding harassment. Ms. Gilmore, you want to tell me about that?
Yes, when she had decided 4 days we had agreed that Mike was going to take her place. We had made the agreement that he was going to pay after, and she kept constantly calling saying that she wanted the money earlier, and I told her that I didn't have it and that Mike hadn't given it to me, and she kept calling me, harassing me, and showing up. She showed up at my house the day before saying she wanted the money or the ticket, and the option was that she could call the travel agent and say that she wanted her place back because I didn't have the money. So she was calling me constantly, leaving me messages, called me when I was at work.
That's what happens when she feels as if you were stiffing her money. That's not a cause of action for harassment. You have to give her the $325, and I suggest that you and your father, when you leave here, you go to small claims court and you sue Mike for the trip that he took, that he enjoyed, that so far he didn't pay for. Right?
Right.
As between the two of you, you owe her $325. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She is.
Hi, xin chào mọi người. Đây, hôm nay thì mình có một ít cái mà coi là cái rìa của cá hồi á. Đó. Cái này thì mình sẽ chiên dầu. Mình sẽ cho vào đây một quả trứng. Đó. Và mình sẽ chiên cùng với lại cái bột chiên dầu của mình. Đó. Rồi bây giờ thì mình sẽ bắt đầu vào lò nhé. Rồi ở đây mình có nha mọi người. Thì mình không có nêm chiên nhiều ấy, mình chỉ có bỏ vào đây một ít bột nêm để cho cái cá mình nó có vị hơi mặn một xíu thôi. Đó. Rồi sau đó mình sẽ cho một trứng vào. Quay đều lên. Quay đều cho cái cá mình nó thấm gia vị trước nữa nè. Sau khi mà đều rồi bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu cho bột chiên dầu vào. Thì tùy mình thôi, mình muốn cá mình nó nhiều bọt thì mình sẽ cho nhiều bọt, còn mình muốn cho cái cá mình nó có một lớp bột mỏng ở ngoài thôi thì mình sẽ cho ít bột. Bây giờ mình sẽ cộng này, coi thử nó vừa chưa nha. Nếu như vừa rồi thì mình sẽ không cho nữa, còn mình có hơi thiếu bột thì mình sẽ cho thêm. Mình sẽ cho thêm một xíu bột nữa nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ cho cá vào nha mọi người. là nhanh để có một mẻ. Cái này thì mình nên chiên ở lửa nó to xíu nha mọi người. Chiên lửa nhỏ thì nó rất dễ bị hút dầu á. Nhất là khi mà mình dần vớt ra đó thì mình nên chiên lửa to to xíu. Cuối cho nên là nó hơi lao một xíu nha. Bếp vào đấy là luôn nha. Mình sẽ bỏ vào đây cho nó ráo bớt dầu. Để trên cái hơi nóng này nè, rồi nó dễ nhỏ dầu đó lắm mọi người. Nó không có bị hút dầu lại. Hi. Mình đã hoàn thành xong dĩa cá hồi chiên bột, tẩm bột chiên này. Cái này mình có thể ăn với lại tương ớt hoặc là tương cà. Đối với em bé thì mình có thể ăn chung với tương cà, người lớn thì mình chấm với tương ớt. Cái này rất là ngon nha mọi người. Rồi cảm ơn mọi người đã coi video của mình nhé. Bye bye.